Welcome to the Hustle Hills podcast, the audio version of our brand new show. Hustle Hills is the hub for all things health and business. This podcast will provide you with quick and easy, helpful health tips, as well as tips directly from entrepreneurs on how to grow your business and make it what you want. Every Wednesday will be something different, so stay tuned to learn the tricks to hustling in health and in business. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hustle Hills podcast. I am Cindy Kemakolam, your host, and today we're talking about body positivity and healthy habits. Body positivity, from my understanding, is rooted in loving your body no matter the size. This topic is important. It's so important because there's a lot of people who resent their bodies because they don't look a certain way. In this episode, I really endeavored to strike the balance between these two concepts, body positivity and creating healthy habits, and share my thoughts on why both of these things are extremely important. But first, I have a confession. So Conejo Valley Transit is doing this building-wide weight loss challenge, and I'm participating. And I'm failing miserably because this weekend I feel like I was just on a binge eating spree. It was ridiculous. On Friday, I went to a pop-up shop kind of thing at the Autry Museum called the Odd Market, and they had all these food trucks, and I was starving. I was absolutely starving. So first I had some ice cream, and that was bad enough, right? It was okay. So I wanted vanilla ice cream, but then my friend got me chocolate, and then she had it was bad. Then I was really hungry. So after I had that, it was on the sugar high, but I didn't have enough food in my system. And so I had a burrito, and it was okay. It was kind of salty, but it was good. And after I ate that, I felt gross. I felt super disgusting. I went to bed, and the next day, it was a lazy weekend for me because I did a lot of reading in preparation for classes. And I had flatbread pizza. My husband's let's order Domino's. And so we ordered flatbread pizza, and I kind of felt a little okay, it's not that bad because it's flatbread. It's not the regular crust. And then we loaded it up with a whole bunch of veggies, but it's still pizza. And then yesterday, being Sunday, I had waffles, Belgian waffles. Oh my God. This weekend was horrible. I did so badly, and I feel really embarrassed and really guilty about how I performed, especially because we're the ones coordinating this weight loss challenge. But that's life, right? And so I kind of wanted to be transparent and throw it out there so that it's not oh, Cindy is, doing everything right. No, I falter, and this weekend was one of them. But I set some very small goals to do things differently this week and hopefully get me back in the competition and to, motivate me to do better, right? So first, I'm going to be packing my food. And if I can't pack my food for whatever reason, I'm going to default to a salad. So chicken, salmon, any type of salad, no cheese. I don't really like cheese in my salads, but yeah, salads that are high in protein and obviously greens. I'm going to be exercising every morning while either listening to a podcast or an audiobook, because I find that when I listen to music, I'm consciously looking at the time, how long have I been here? So feeding my brain while feeding my body. I'm going to be setting small goals. So one of the goals that I have this week is to not eat bread. So for today, I'm not going to be eating any bread product. Okay, that's just one small goal that at the end of the week will kind of amount to a bigger goal, and then drinking tons of water. And later in the episode, I'm going to talk about why drinking tons of water is super important. I mean, it's one of the best pieces of advice that I've received in my entire life, how important water is just in your overall health regimen. But we'll get into that. So that's my confession, full transparency. I've got it out. I feel horrible about it. But that's where we're at. Hopefully in next week's episode, I will have better news for you guys. So I'm reading this book called If I Could Tell You Just One Thing, and it's by the author Richard Reed. And the book is really centered around getting advice from various thought leaders around the world in different areas and fields of work, and really just sharing with the readers like what these people's best piece of advice would be and all the things that they've learned and all the experience that they have. And so I was reading a section of the book, and it was there was an interview by the author with Patrice Coolers, and I believe she is the creator of the Black Lives Matter movement, but her advice really resonated with me, and it reads as follows. My single most important piece of advice is to stay healthy. It's too easy to become consumed by the issues that plague this country. It can have an egregious effect on you. People engaged in the fight lose their health, their minds, their lives. So do whatever you need to do to stay healthy. Get a therapist, eat well, exercise. You need to stay strong, to stay healthy, to be in the fight longer. Now, while Patrice is talking about her own, fight, with all of the issues that her organization tackles, but I think that the advice as a whole just really resonated with me because I come from a family of entrepreneurs in the healthcare industry, and it was a constant as I was growing up about why your health is important and why you have to take care of your body and why you have to eat well and why you have to exercise. And as a teenager and young adult, I didn't really pay attention to those things nearly as much as I do now because I'm getting older. And when you get older, for some reason, there's like a light bulb that clicks and you're like, okay, wow, like I'm immortal. I'm not going to be here forever. And eventually we're all going to end in the same way, some earlier than others. And while there are a lot of things that are completely outside of our control, right, there are some things that we can do that are in our control. And creating healthy habits is one of them, right? And so that piece of advice it stuck out to me. And I read it several times. I shared it with a number of people, close friends and family members, and, just to kind of have a conversation about what was said and what their thoughts were. And so from that, I was like, I want to do this episode on, healthy habits, but also body positivity, because I think that the body positivity movement isn't necessarily talking about healthy habits. It's more so loving your body no matter what, right? In whatever state it's in, because everybody's different. And that's true. Like everybody is different. Everybody's body can't look the same, but it is important that in loving your body, you have to treat it well. You have to feed it the right things. You need to take care of it. And so the conversation, I think, really, requires both of those elements to be there. So for me, I've kind of adopted this mentality that you have to make time for your health. And that means, take a walk, with your partner or your friends or by yourself with your headset on and just zone out, and just be present in the moment and breathe in and breathe out. There have been times where I've just been really conscious about my breathing, and it's one of the most therapeutic feelings to just think about yourself breathing in and out and what that means. Like every breath that you take, it's feeding your lungs, it's feeding your heart, the oxygen's going in, and just try it. It's super, super invigorating. 10 minutes at the very least, everybody should be having of intense cardio, whether it's speed walking, sprints, getting on a treadmill, doing whatever you have to do just to get your heart rate pumping. That is really the goal. It's not to go to the gym and spend 2-3 hours. Not everybody has time for that, but just doing something in your environment, that will get your heart rate up. Being mindful of what you put in your body. I think that is so important for me to just sit in that space for a bit. So we can't see inside our bodies, right? So what we put in our bodies manifests on the outside, whether it be through acne or whether it be through, weight gain. So we can't see inside, but the outside is the mirror of the inside. So it's important that we treat our bodies as these vessels that are carrying this throughout life, but depending on what type of materials we put in, kind of like a car, right? If you put in, not so good gas, like, yeah, you're going to be able to get from point A to point B, but you'll probably have to refill quicker. And then your car, as like your engine, right? You will have to maintain it more often than if you're putting premium gas, right? Gas that's good for your body. And another thing is that, and I talked about water earlier, but we have a lot of toxins and impurities in our body through the things that we eat, through the air that we ingest, etc., right? There's so many things around us that we come in contact with on a day-to-day basis. And water, is probably the most important thing that we can put in our bodies to flush out all those toxins and impurities that, breed in our bodies. So it's no secret, right, that a lot of farmers and a lot of, growers of food, fresh produce, use pesticides. They use GMOs to grow our food, whether it be in the meats that we eat, in the vegetables. And even if you are buying organic, there really isn't any way to 100% guarantee that it is organic, right? So I just feel like water is one of the most important things that you can do to flush out your body. We can't 100% control, what we eat unless you're Oprah and you have your own, farm, garden, and acres of land to grow your own food and raise chickens and things like that. But we can definitely flush our body out. I know that I, at a very young age, because of my dad's advice, I stopped drinking a lot of colored drinks. So sodas, teas, anything that has color. It's not natural, right? And I really just defaulted to drinking water. And it's one of the easiest changes that any person can make. And I know that water doesn't have taste, and a lot of people just don't like water, but it's so important for you. Like, it's super, super important. And I really encourage everybody to just try upping your intake of water every day, and you will see tremendous changes in your life. And now switching gears to body positivity and why this topic is super important. We all have different bodies. All of our bodies are shaped differently, they're proportioned differently, and, we live in a society that really gives preference and preferential treatment to those who fall into a certain category, and it can be very emotionally and mentally taxing on people if you just don't fit in that category. And so some of the most critical stages of self-assessment and identity development happen when you're younger. And those are also the times when you're bombarded, right, with a barrage of imagery that really makes you feel like, well, if I'm not thin and, if my body doesn't look, or it's not curvaceous in this way, then I'm not beautiful. And that is like the furthest thing from the truth, because all of our bodies are designed differently and we're not supposed to all look the same. That would kind of be weird. But body image can be defined as how we see and picture ourselves. And that starts in the mind. And so it's so important that not only do you feed yourself things that are good for your body, but you also mentally stimulate yourself with imagery and conversations that are positive, because that's how we learn to love ourselves and love our bodies. And eating and body image are kind of inextricably linked, in the sense that if you eat crap, it's going to manifest on the outside, which is going to alter your perception of your body. We are not designed to be overweight and obese. I don't think that was the intent. I think through time, through the things that we eat and, a lot of the habits that we've adopted, our bodies just, they've adapted to that. But I don't think that nobody's born fat, right? So it's not something that I think it was designed to be that way. But in as much as it wasn't designed to be that way, you can look at things like in archaeology as natural selection. That's how our bodies have evolved, and that's what it is today. So it's important to love our bodies for what they are, right? But also keeping in mind that we have to treat our bodies well, and creating realistic goals and expectations for ourselves, so that not only can we love our bodies, but we can treat our bodies good. And some of the things that affect body positivity are our physical and emotional stressors. So for me, that's huge, because I know that when I'm emotionally stressed out, be it with school or work or whatever, I tend to eat more. And I don't necessarily eat things that are good for me. Like, I'm not like binge eating on watermelon or like, lettuce. I'm eating starchy foods, breads, fried foods, because it makes me feel better in the moment temporarily. But then I all of a sudden, I get this epiphany and I'm like, that wasn't the right thing to do. And so, but it's late because the food is already in your body and your body has to process it. And so there it goes, right? And then when you're in high performance areas or structures where it really requires you to prioritize your mental state of mind, right? So if you're in an environment at work where you have to be always thinking and always producing, that can have a negative effect on our physical body. And then from that, you start to look at yourself and perceive yourself as, oh my God, my body's deteriorating or what have you. And so it's always important to be conscious of that. And then also big transitions in your life. So when you get married, when you move away, when you go to school, like all of these big transitions in our lives really stimulate concepts of body image. We look at ourselves in relationship to somebody else and go, oh, well, they're around my age and kind of grew up in the same environment, but they're, 50 pounds lighter than I am. And that affects your image, your body image and what you think of yourself. And so I really just encourage that, yes, we are all different. We're all built different. We have to love ourselves. It's one of those things that nobody can truly teach you. It's something that it's an inner work that you have to do. And I think that when you make conscious strides, right, to really take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, right, your image of yourself will change because you're feeding yourself and you're telling yourself and you're, taking care of yourself. And when you take care of yourself, you feel good, right? So ultimately, that will affect how you view yourself. Body positivity is not a scam. It is something that is super important in today's day and age. We really need to take it seriously. But I think that there needs to be a balance. I think we need to be realistic about our size and where we are and what we can change. You have some people who, are obese or morbidly obese, and they can't do the same things as somebody who is only 20 pounds overweight. They may be able to eventually get to that point, but you don't want to stress your body to the point where, you cave or you start, but you don't finish, right? And so it's important that you acknowledge acknowledgement of where you are, what you can do, and when you falter. Be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself about it. Just be honest. Like my confession at the beginning of this, as hard as it was to say, like, I got it off my chest. It's out there in the open. Nobody can really use that against me now, right? So be honest with yourself when you falter, because no weapon formed against you will prosper, especially when you are ahead of it, when you throw it out there first. Expect long-term change, not short, weekly changes. You're not going to lose 10 pounds in 1 week. And if you do, chances are you're going to gain it back. Okay. So small incremental changes. Drinking lots of water is one of them. Eating in smaller portions is one of them. Getting physical activity is one of them. And those things ultimately will affect your body positivity and your body image and how you view yourself. Work towards self-acceptance and self-love, because that honestly is really where the buck stops. You have to love yourself first for who you are, and then know that you can be better, right? So we all have the potential. Potential is super important. We all have the potential to be better. But if you can't acknowledge where you are and love yourself at where you are, then chances are in the pursuit of getting to being better, you're doing it for a reason that's not really concrete and rooted. It's just like to look good, but then you get to the place of looking good and you're still not happy because you didn't accept yourself. You didn't love yourself. And I'm not saying that this applies to everybody. It's just my ideas and my opinions on the topic. And the most important thing is ask for support and ask for help. Accountability is super important. I know for me, like, even in in the midst of me eating all of these crazy things, I remember that on Monday, I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to be held accountable for these things, right? So I'm not going to be able to just eat and get away with it. And I'm going to have to face the music. And so being accountable, asking for support, joining groups, joining a challenge that will really keep you honest, I think is a really great place to start for anybody who wants to start creating healthier habits and just develop this body positivity image. And that's the episode, guys. And so I hope that you guys were able to get something out of it. I'm hoping that something that I said resonated with you. You guys, this is super important to me. Like, this topic is super important because we work in a healthcare industry where we see people every day who have a number of different health-related conditions. And I'm sure that if each and every person could share one thing with you, their advice would be rooted in maybe taking better care of themselves. And not because they're bad or because they had bad luck. It's just sometimes wisdom comes with experience. And so it's important to learn not only from your own experience, but the experience of others. And I just want to be a voice to the people out there who maybe just need that extra push, right? To do the right thing and start looking at themselves differently and start taking care of themselves a little bit better and not trying to be perfect or like you're never going to get it wrong, because we will. We always do, right? We're human. And to err is human, but to forgive is divine. And you have to forgive yourselves when you mess up, when you fall short of what you expected that you would do, but you get back up, you get back on the wagon, and you do better. Okay? So that is the episode this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, Wednesday, we'll have another episode for you. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to our newsletter and you're following us on social media. All the details will be in the description bar. It's been fun. And until next Wednesday, you guys stay blessed. Peace.